We always had 2 South Vietnamese regular soldiers with each of our squads who were used primarily for interpretation. And I never trusted them. They would always be speaking in Vietnamese, and they knew English very well, almost all of them. And I always assigned a couple men in my squad to watch them all the time, particularly at night. I would never allow them out of my sight, my squad's sight, because I didn't know whether they were really on our side or helping out the Viet Cong.
I ended up on bridge security, so I was outside the compound when we got hit. We had claymore mines all around the compound. All the wires to the claymore mines had already been cut, so you had an inside job. So I'm shooting down the road because they were crossing the road towards the compound in front of me, and I'm firing in that direction, and there's nobody over there by me, but as clear as I'm talking to you, a voice came into my head and said, "Move now." So I moved around to the corner of the bunker, and just as I put my rifle to my shoulder and got ready to start firing again, the whole thing blew up. Knocked me down by the river into a bunch of concertina wire, busted my left eardrum, and you know, more of the concussion effects and some other stuff, but nothing serious. I crawled back up. I mean, I remember could hear the other guys yelling from the other side, yelling my name to see if I was still alive, and you know, finally as my head cleared enough I could respond. And I looked around the front, and that post where I'd been leaning against had about maybe that much of it sticking out. A B-40 rocket had hit. Now you hear them talking in Iraq and Afghanistan about the RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades, and that B-40, that's what those were. But that was probably the one time where I really didn't know that I was going to make it through that night.
I am indeed fortunate. Out of the 14 original men in my squad that I started with, 2 of us came back.
I came back from Vietnam. I was home for 30 days leave. I went to Portsmouth Naval Hospital to another school and went on with my career and didn't miss a beat.
Well, I tell you what, I had a great time. I saw a lot of things. I had a great bunch of people. Have a wife and 2 fine kids. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I really would.
It was a great adventure. Came back. You know, you're always young and married. The welcome back home was not, by then things had changed quite a bit. It wasn't the welcoming, hey, you know, from people around you, you know, and you just had to kind of assimilate back into society and keep your head low and, you know, not you know, broadcast that you were, you know, a Vietnam veteran that much. Wasn't a real popular thing.
We have some boys and girls now that go to Afghanistan and Iraq and Kuwait, and God bless them all, each and every one of them, and I mean that. When they return, people throw confetti at them. When I returned from Vietnam, people threw things at me. And it's a shame. I personally do not believe we belonged in Vietnam, but I was a good Marine. I did what I was told, and I like to think I did it well. Going through 4 years of the Marine Corps and all that I did, I like to think that I matured a little bit. Well, I can tell you I did, quite a bit. And I decided at that point that I was going to go to college.
It was extremely difficult for me when I got back. You know, I had just turned 21 when I was discharged, and the previous year I ran top secret missions, some very, very difficult ones with Special Forces NCOs and indigenous mercenaries. I ran some of the hardest missions they had and did it successfully and brought my people home. And when I got discharged and just sitting around Trenton, it was like, what am I gonna do now? There's nothing in the world that is gonna be as hard as what I just did. Am I gonna be an insurance salesman or a stockbroker or working a steel mill? I was kind of baffled at that point. And that's when education you recognize that it's a valuable thing. That's what I decided to do, was take advantage of my GI Bill and go back to college and develop some time to think about it and some maturity to know what I wanted to do. The bottom line is, to me, I had two paths to choose. One was a very mundane path of going to college and getting a deferment and doing that thing. The other path was to go to Vietnam and meet and serve with heroes and legends. And that was the path I chose, and I'm extremely proud that I did.
Leo and his family epitomized the service, sacrifice, and the courage of the true heroes of the Vietnam War. In Washington, D.C., the name Leo C. Chase, Jr. is engraved in the wall, the granite monument dedicated to those who paid the ultimate price in the Vietnam War. But his name, and the names of more than 58,000 others, is deeply engraved in living memorials. They are engraved in the hearts and minds of everyone who served with them, those who carry the burden of their loss. But they carry that burden willingly because they're brothers.